Live from Las Vegas, Nevada, it's WIMA, Women in Music and Arts, Las Vegas's #1 women's organization for scholarships in the arts. With your host, the dazzling and talented Sandy Castell. WIMA is a non-profit organization comprised of dynamic, influential women in the performing, visual, and literary arts, dedicated to empowering artists of all ages through education and mentorship. For the next 60 minutes, we'll meet local performers, painters, sculptors, singers, songwriters, musicians, comedians, dancers, authors, and more. Now, let's bring on the host. Here is Sandy Castell.
Welcome to Women in Music and Arts. This is your host, Sandy Castell, and we are broadcasting live from Las Vegas every Wednesday at noon on KLAV AM 1230 and streaming online at KLAV1230am.com. Our show today is sponsored by the members of Women in Music and Arts, empowering artists of all ages through education and mentorship. You can find out more about WIMA and Women in Music and Arts by going to our website at wimafoundation.org. My guests today are Gary Anthony, L.J. Harness, Mark Giove, and Ned Mills, and Amy Frost, who is on our advisory board for WIMA. Hi, Amy.
Hello, my dear.
Oops. Can you hear?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Hello. And then we've got all these guys in here. Say hi, guys.
Hey. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
How you doing? Looking good, baby.
Okay, so we've got quite a show for you today. We've got, like I said, a lot of guys here in the room, and they're all musicians and performers, and they're out there in Las Vegas entertaining at a variety of different events and locations, and we'll be talking about that later. But right now we're going to start out with Amy, and Amy is going to start out with a little inspirational message for us today.
I feel like Marilyn from the Munsters. I've got all these great artists, and then there's me. And my focus today is on who is your client, who is your target audience. An audience, that really falls for the singing part anyway. And I want you to be thinking about that. And the quote is, "To my customer, I may not have the answer, but I'll find it. I may not have the time, but I'll make it. I may not be the biggest person, but I'll be the most committed to your success." That's from Intentional Selling.
Good stuff.
I like that. That's something we can all use, right, in our business. So Amy has been working with the nonprofits and profit organizations, bringing them together so that we can all help each other and work together and to support each other in all the projects that we're doing. So, Gary, I'm going to start with you because you and I have known each other for a very long time.
We go way back.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
And do we want to tell the audience about that?
Oh, gosh.
I think it was 1968.
Oh, my.
And the show was Vegas Beat 68.
Boy, do I remember that.
That's right. We were just kids.
Yes,
like
we were.
2 and 3 years old, I think.
Good one.
And we were the babies in the show.
Yes, we were.
Well, Gary, you've had a long history of being in the entertainment business.
Yes.
And you were chosen to perform for the International Java Jazz Festival 2008 and 2009 with Ron King and his all-star band from Los Angeles and Jakarta, Indonesia, the biggest jazz festival in the world. My gosh, that's a huge.
Yes, it is, and I went back this year as well.
Yeah.
And I filmed a DVD. In fact, there's a DVD out in Malaysia that I understand when I went back this year. That is #3 bestseller.
Oh my gosh, in Malaysia, huh?
Right, from the recording we did, or the filming we did in 2008. Wow. So they released it in 2009, and it seems to be doing well.
Now, and what kind of voice were you using when you were performing
there?
Okay. Let's get to your voices.
I do the tribute to Frank Sinatra.
Yes, you do.
Yes.
And you've explored other voices throughout your history of working as an entertainer. Yeah. But as I remember very well, when I was only a little girl, you were singing Sinatra songs to me back then.
Yes, I was.
That's right. Yeah. So you've always been singing Sinatra.
Yeah, my dad was a big band leader, and I grew up with the big bands, and who am I going to listen to but Frank Sinatra?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, did you know that He's the one I learned my songs from, too. At 4
Yeah.
years old, I was singing, "You Make Me Feel So Young."
In fact, that's the song You'll Hear Me Later.
Oh, perfect.
Ooh, yes.
Perfect. Yes, we are going to hear some of the songs from these guys later. All right, Gary. And then LJ, you've been in the business a long time, too, and you have had a lot of artists that have supported you through your career. In fact, Patti LaBelle was one that was a mentor to you.
Well, she's the one that kind of brought me back into performing after many years of taking a break. But the main thing I like to talk about today is what I'm involved in along with Gary and, of course, Ned Mills and Mark Giovi. And you're all very familiar with those names, but part of what we call the Vegas Underground, which you can go to thevegasunderground.com. Coming here 3 years ago with Cadillac of Las Vegas, who's very involved in supporting the local community and promoting live entertainment.
Yay!
Yes.
Yay! We all say yay.
Make this very short so we can get to the substance, the guys here today that having the honor to meet these phenomenal entertainers. I mean, when I say entertainers, because they're more than just singers and musicians.
Yes.
And they have a gift and a passion. And from one thing to another, we found each other, and through the Vegas Underground, of course, every Monday night at the Vegas Underground Tap House from 7:30 till midnight, you will see some of the hottest slamming entertainment in Vegas. And these guys, along with so many phenomenal R&B, vintage Vegas, classic rock, we have some of the highest level of comedians that come in. And that's what I'm part of. And, of course, I'm sure we're going to be talking about the Boca Park Summer Bash through the show, so I'll take it over.
All right, great. Well, thank you, LJ. And as he said, LJ and I have been bumping into each other in town lately at different events. And I was at the Rick Springer event the other day, the TV show that's going to be on Thursday morning, I believe.
I heard it was on.
Oh, your segment was on this morning.
Yeah, and you didn't turn over and wake me up.
I wasn't there to do that. Brum-bum. Anyway, so Mark Giovi. Welcome to the show, Mark.
You can segue to somebody else after that.
This is the Vegas Underground live, baby.
Yeah. Well, I do have a husband, Harold Stout,
And I've got a
okay?
significant
And I'm
other,
sure
too.
he would not like to hear that.
He'll be calling you later.
That's right. He knows where I was waking up this morning. Thank you very much. Okay, so Mark, you and I met a long time ago out at the ranch. We met at a couple of events that were going on. Gosh, it must have been
I know.
5 and 10 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I've been out here now like 8.5 years, and
Yeah.
I think it was really like about 8 years ago when
Yeah.
we first came.
Yeah. So it says you were born in Trenton, New Jersey.
Trenton, New Jersey.
Yeah. How'd you end up out here in Las Vegas?
Well, I don't know. I lived in L.A. for about 10 years
Yeah.
prior to moving here. I was back on tour, actually, and during the 9/11 thing, and back in New York City, and we performed in New York City. And I was stuck home for a good while there, and I met a girl. And
I met
actually,
a girl.
I actually moved back there for her, and
Yeah.
we ended up getting married. And then I was there for one full winter.
Oh my
and,
gosh.
I was like, no, we got to go back to someplace warm. So we moved out here with no jobs, no place to live, and my wife was pregnant at the time. So I just came out here to try my hand at the singing out here, and we're still here.
Well, it says you toured with NSYNC.
I was a tour manager for a major recording artist named Aaron Carter.
Oh, Aaron Carter, and then Britney
we-
Spears and Backstreet
we
Boys.
toured with NSYNC, Backstreet Boys.
NSYNC, that's
yeah,
right.
Yeah. And Britney Spears,
Right.
and we traveled all over the world.
Worldwide.
And I put all of his tours together.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And your national credits include Wayne Brady, Regis, Kathy and Lee, Rosie O'Donnell, Good Morning America, The Today Show, United Cerebral Palsy Telethon, and your big break.
Yeah.
And you've headlined in virtually every showroom in the city of entertainment in Las
pretty
Vegas.
much. I've pretty much performed in every showroom here on the Strip.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to listen to some of your songs later.
Okay.
All right, Ned.
Yes.
We've got Ned Mills here.
Good morning.
And good morning. And you are the piano player with the Vegas Underground.
Dum-da-da-dum.
Dum,
Yeah,
da, dum.
that's
and,
me.
and various other shows that you have been involved in here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I do a lot of shows all over Vegas. I'm in the Suncoast showroom on Thursdays and a show called The Hit Parade. And I do a lot of cruise ships, and I'm a conductor for a lot of shows. I work with all these gentlemen here in the room. So, yeah, I just can't keep a job. I'm all over the place.
Or you get the opportunity to do so many jobs. That's wonderful.
He's our orchestra.
It says you were
He's
born
our
in
orchestra.
Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeehaw. That's right. We speak the Queen's English in
It's
Charleston. That's
Ned
right.
Leon Mills.
That's right, and
Yes.
hence my stage name when I do my my own production show. They call me Leonardo. You know,
That's
so
where you got the Leonardo.
a little more panache, a lot of more panache in it than just saying Ned.
Yeah, I saw those photos that you have up there on your website. You know, you look like a little kid in those. You know, those.
That
you
was
started
that was a couple of years ago.
a couple of years ago. Yeah, yeah. Your hair was darker.
Yeah.
But it looks good
Yeah.
blonde also.
Yeah.
So you've worked with Bobby McFerrin, Don Rickles, Bonnie Raitt, and Sheryl Crow. You've been the conductor and arranger for the stars of the Lawrence Welk Show, the Ink Spots, and Shirelles. And your arrangements have been performed by Dallas Jazz Orchestra, the Miss North Carolina pageant,
Yeah.
and the Pizzazz starring Debbie Boone.
Mm-hmm.
And the Rockettes, some legends in concert, of course.
That's right. I was a rehearsal piano player, and it's pretty interesting seeing him getting up at 10 o'clock in the morning to rehearse for 12 hours.
To
But,
sing.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's good. Now, Gary, I'm going to go back to you a little bit. Tell us what because I know your history, but the audience doesn't know as much about it, how you started out, because you had a large family.
Yes, I'm one of 11 children,
Yes.
and everybody was in show business at the time. But my dad was a big band leader, so that influenced me to get involved with Frank Sinatra, of course, because that's about all you're going to listen to back then. I missed the whole Beatle era, missed it completely, because I was so involved with Sinatra.
Yeah.
And big bands that I grew up with it, and so I it was kind of meant to be for me to just slide into this thing.
And you've traveled all over the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been to South Africa, England, my gosh, you name it, I've been there. But
And you've done commercials as...
yeah, I did two
how
national.
did they do that?
I did two national commercials. One was for NBA Basketball Association. I was Frank's double.
Double, okay.
Yeah, and then Delta Airlines, they did a little little thing on that as me looking like Frank and singing.
And you also have a booking agency where you book a lot of the lookalikes or the sound-alikes performers.
Yeah, I started this agency about 17 years ago, and it's for celebrity impersonators for conventions, private parties, weddings, etc. And the website basically is majorep.com. Just go there, and it's self-explanatory. To show you everything about me.
Okay, good. Well, I want to start with some music. So let's look at Gary's CD there, and I think we're going to start off with...
speaking of You Make Me Feel So Young.
Yeah.
This was actually the live version from the...
Number 2?
Jakarta, Indonesia DVD. This is live from there.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah,
All right, this is You Make Me Feel So Young with Gary Anthony.
You make me feel so young. You make me feel like spring has sprung. Every time I see you grin, I'm such a happy individual. The moment that you speak, I'd like to run and play hide and seek. I'd like to go and bounce the moon, just like a toy balloon. You and I, we are just like a couple of tots, running around the meadow, picking up all those forget-me-nots. You make me feel so young. You make me feel there are songs to be sung, lots of bell be rung, and a wonderful fling to be flown. And even when I'm old and gray, I'm gonna feel the way I do today, 'cause you make me feel so young.
If you are just tuning in, you are listening to Women in Music and Arts, and we are broadcasting live from Las Vegas every Wednesday at noon on KLAV 1230 AM on AM. And we are streaming online at KLAV1230am.com. This show will be rebroadcast Friday morning at 10 a.m. on VegasAllNetRadio.com. And our show today is sponsored by the members of Women in Music and Arts. We are going to take a little break for the sponsors, and we'll be right back. Join James Kelly and Sandy Castell for a live behind-the-scenes look at the Boca Park Summer Bash for WIMA, Women in Music and Arts, Saturday, July 14th from 4 to 8 p.m. Sponsors include KLAV, Cadillac of Las Vegas, Nevada Youth Alliance, Silk and Satin Records, and the Stores of Boca Park. There will be live music, food, fashion, prizes, poetry readings, and more. Tickets will be available for raffle prizes from the Boca Park stores. Join us for a day of fun and help support the arts. This is Sandy Castell, and I will see you there.
I'm Dolly Coulter.
And this is Bert Anderson. Join us Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. for the Women in Music and Arts children's radio show featuring Bixby's Tales.
We'll take you on adventures all around the world with our wonderful roving reporters, Joey and Henry.
And don't forget about me. I'm Bixby. I'm their dog.
Oh, Bixby, we could never forget about you. So don't forget, come and join us every Saturday morning at 9:30. We're going to take you on the adventures of a lifetime.
After you've gone and left me crying, after you've gone, there's no denying. You'll feel blue, you're gonna be sad. You'll miss the dearest pal that you ever had. There'll come a time, now don't forget it. Yeah, there'll come a time when you'll regret it. Someday, when you're feeling lonely, your heart will break like mine and you'll want me only after you've gone away. You'll miss the slickest partner you've ever had. Someday, when you get lonely, your heart will break like mine. You'll want me only after you split, after you've flown the coop.
Welcome back to Women in Music and Arts. We are broadcasting live from Las Vegas every Wednesday at noon on KLAV 1230 AM and streaming online at KLAV1230am.com. That was Gary Anthony singing After You've Gone, and right before that it was You Make Me Feel So Young. And that was off of his CD that he did.
Mm-hmm. Yes. This
For,
one I recorded.
That was the one, these particular recordings were
yeah,
off
they
of
were
that.
off of the live version of Jakarta's International Jazz Festival.
Okay, that was at
DVD.
the International Jazz Festival.
Yeah.
Okay, now, LJ, we were talking a little bit on the break there about how you got involved with the Vegas Underground, thevegasunderground.com, right?
Yes, well, that's the name we came up with.
Yes.
Because, again, coming here 3 years ago and having the opportunity to go out to some phenomenal shows,
Right.
and doing so, meeting Ned Mills, Mark Giove, and, of course, Gary Anthony, and I could go down the list. But what I've incorporated with Cadillac is getting involved in the community and promoting live entertainment. And this is the entertainment capital of the world.
Yes, it is.
And, of course, everyone knows in the last handful of years, a lot of the live venues kind of disappeared. And when you see all these phenomenal entertainers, and sometimes they might be without work for a week or so, I'm thinking, what's this? Is ridiculous. They're too gifted. So, in wanting to help promote Mark Giove, all of a sudden I'm asked to set in with Mark, and then I go to the Suncoast and see a sold-out show with Ned Mills, the music director. And then this cat named Gary Anthony, who's a character in himself. And, of course, along with, of course, we're all good friends with Rob Garrett, the #1 Neil Diamond tribute.
Yes.
We could just go down the list. But I've been able to get involved with these guys. Didn't come out here to play music, and because of them, and I'm very, very humbled by it, and I mean that I'm able to back them up many times on drums. And it's brushing the rust and the dust off again. But again, to see how people want to be entertained by live entertainment, and these guys bring it every time. And for you to grace our stage the other night, Sandy, I mean, you saw what it was about. And of course, from the LA Times doing a feature story on us, to the RJ Sun, CBS satellite trucks coming out, and it just continues. People coming in from all over the United States, North America, just to not be part of the audience, but actually performers coming in.
That's right, and that's the one thing I noticed. I mean, that room was packed. It was at the Tap House over there on West Charleston.
That's right.
And it's every Monday night, starting at 7:30, I believe.
But you have to get there early.
But you have to get there early to find a parking spot and to find a seat.
From L.A. to New Orleans to Nashville, Chicago, New York, entertainers.
Even London and Germany.
Yeah.
It's international.
Really?
Someone came in from Pahrump last week.
Oh my gosh! Now there you go.
That's right. So, needless to say, very proud to being part of the Vegas Underground, and these guys all have such a following.
Yes, they do, and that's what's fascinating about having all you guys here on the show today. That you've been in the business for a long time. You're all helping out and reaching out to other performers, trying to find venues that we can perform in. And it has been a challenge for us. I mean, there's been a lot of changes since the 80s, that's for sure. And Amy had brought up some questions that she wanted to address directly to the Vegas Underground, particularly because of all the work that you're doing. Can we get this to come a little bit closer? There we go.
Well, and what we're working on is mentoring young entertainers of all different kinds, whatever kind of art. And you guys are such a great example. And it's about, we want our audience to think about, what are your gifts and talents? And how do you find people who are great at what they do, mentor from them, collaborate with them, find sponsors like Cadillac? I mean, it's brilliant. Yes. Create a website, create a venue, not sit around waiting. I'm really good at what I do. So what? There's a lot of really good people. Finding a way, that you can make a living doing what you love. And you guys are a great example of that. So what are your gifts and talents? Find people who are really good and are doing it really well, and how do you help them do them better?
That's right, because it's very easy to sit at home and say, gee, I'm such a good singer, but nobody's hiring me. Well, get your, up off your seat and go out to the Monday night Tap House.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, you got to go out to sit in anywhere you possibly can.
Sit in.
Absolutely.
When I first moved here, it was hard to get any kind of regular job, let alone singing, because you really have to prove yourself out here in Las Vegas. And for the first 6 months, I was living off of savings, and it came down to like the last couple months of savings, and then I started getting little by little more and more gigs, and I stayed. But I only got those gigs by going to different places and sitting in. Didn't matter where it was. I mean, I was going to blues bars, jazz standard bars, rock and roll bars. I mean, 'cause I like to sing every kind of music anyway.
Yes,
you just got to do that and just got to get seen.
I had a similar experience when I moved here 12 years ago from North Carolina. I didn't leave the house unless there was 50 business cards in my pocket. And I went to every casino, every lounge. We found, Gary, you remember the old Kitchen Cafe?
Oh, absolutely. I remember you walking into that Kitchen Cafe. I said, who's this guy? From South Carolina.
I had no job and no clue. And I was about ready to leave. And our good friend Dennis Mellon talked me into sticking around. And my father loaned me some money to stick around, and then finally the phone started ringing, and I've been here ever since. So if you hang in there, Doors will happen. Opportunity. Sometimes when opportunity knocks, you don't always have your pants on to answer the door, so you have to be ready.
Well, that's true. And when Gary came back to town, I remember I took you over to the Italian American Club.
Yes, I remember that. Yep.
And he had been living out in L.A. for a while, and he'd gone through a life transformation and was back out here in Las Vegas, ready to hit the ropes again.
Hit the scene, absolutely.
Hit the
and I did the same thing as what
That's
they're
right.
saying. You hit every club,
Yeah.
get noticed, pass your cards out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's about relationship. Like
It is
we always talk
relationship.
about.
It's all about a
so it's like,
relationship.
and you don't know when or how that'll pay off, and it's always about how can I be service to you, not what can I get from you.
All right, exactly.
Correct.
Something you mentioned about mentoring, I'm seeing it weekly. Prime example, Ned, very respected in town as a musician and an artist, music director. But we have a young guy that comes in, Kevin Gardner Rose. The kid's a single parent. He's trying to get it going, and he comes out and gets standing ovations with his electric fiddle, but he's come to me. But I've seen Ned's taken time with him. Sometimes, hey, you got to polish the rough edges off somebody. Bring him down a little bit to, hey, go home and work a little harder. And we're seeing the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what happens when I'm still a little kid when I go out and see live entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to forget that, because we never know who you're inspiring. You can be playing for senior citizens
That's
at
right.
a nursing home, and you're inspiring somebody.
That's right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
these cats all do that all the time, and I'm inspired by them.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I remember when I was 17 years old, and I never sang in a nursing home before, and somebody asked me to come in and sing, and I was setting up my equipment, setting up the PA, and I was watching this one woman in her wheelchair. She had an electric wheelchair, and she was bumping into things and annoying people and talking really loud, and it was just, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to sing through this lady? Everybody else was fine. This lady was so annoying. And I started singing, and she stopped what she was doing, and she pulled her wheelchair up to the front and didn't move for the whole 45-minute show.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, wow, did music do that to that lady? It's just
That's
like,
right.
I mean, it's like, it's amazing what music can do to people and how it can inspire and change somebody.
It does, and it impacts lives. And, they do healing workshops with music.
Well, that's what I'm going to
Yeah.
school for now. I'm
Are
actually,
you?
I'm going to school to be a music therapist, which
Oh.
is a psychologist who uses music to
That's right.
help heal.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to school for that right now.
Yeah.
And you
Ned?
never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to run into. Networking is, I think, a 24/7 thing that every entertainer or aspiring musician should do. For example, when I was in college, I remember taking a history class, and her history teacher was a specialist on China, and he kept talking about China. It was a U.S. history class, and I'm thinking to myself, I wish he'd quit. I'm never going to be there. What's up about this? About a month later, there's a message on the board. They were looking for musicians for cruise ships. I auditioned. I was 21 years old, wet behind the ears. I auditioned and I got it. And 6 months later, I was in China.
Oh my God.
And so you never know what
No.
will happen.
You never know.
And you never ever give up. You never stop trying. And I think one of the most important things, particularly in a town like this, is to don't close your mind to just one style of music or one thing. You diversify.
That's right.
One day I'm in a piano bar, the next day I'm conducting an orchestra or writing a show. And today, to keep food on the table, it's about diversification and an open mind.
Yes. Well, let's go listen to some music right now of Mark Giove. And I think this first song we're going to listen to is an original song that you composed.
Yes, this is an original piece that I wrote a while back.
Okay.
And we just had the pleasure to perform it for the Composer Showcase at the Smith Center.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I just got to perform at the Smith Center doing this song, and it's called If I Could See Tomorrow.
Great.
So long, so far away. I wonder what you're doing every second of the day. If you were here by my side, I'd reach out to hold you and embrace you with my life. How I wish that I could be with you forever. Every minute of the day I'd spend with you. Every time I look into your eyes, it opens a new world of the wondrous things that life can only give. If you knew, oh, how I felt the last few years of my life. I've been put through hell. The thought of you, it makes my heart melt. Why did God give me the cards that I've been dealt? How I wish that I could be with you forever. Every minute of the day I'd spend with you. Every time I look into your eyes, it opens a new world of the wondrous things that life can only give. At the end of a rainbow, you are waiting. At the end of a dream, you are there. You're the light in my road. You're my pot of gold. You're an angel and you're my best friend. If I could only see tomorrow, I'd see what lies in store for you and I. If I could only see tomorrow, I'd see that you are.
If you are just tuning in, you are listening to Women in Music and Arts, and we are broadcasting live from Las Vegas every Wednesday at noon on KLAV 1230 AM on your dial, and streaming online at KLAV1230am.com. That was Mark Giovi, and that was his original song. That was just played at the Composer's Showcase this last week.
Yeah, just was it 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
went over great. It was really a nice event.
Right. So we're going to take a little pause, and we'll be right back with all the guys here from the Vegas Underground and Amy Frost.
This Tuesday night at 6, join recording artist Sandy Castell for Jazz and Cocktails, an intimate look into the world of jazz. Sandy's guests will include musicians, singers, songwriters, club owners, and jazz aficionados. Whether you're driving in traffic or just relaxing at home, tune in and enjoy an eclectic mix of jazz styles with Sandy Castell. It's Jazz and Cocktails, Tuesday nights at 6.
Join James Kelly and Sandy Castell for a live behind-the-scenes look at the Boca Park Summer Bash for WIMA, Women in Music and Arts, Saturday, July 14th from 4 to 8 p.m. Sponsors include KLAV, Cadillac of Las Vegas, Nevada Youth Alliance, Silk and Satin Records, and the Stores of Boca Park. There will be live music, food, fashion, prizes, poetry readings, and more. Tickets will be available for raffle prizes from the Boca Park stores. Join us for a day of fun and help support the arts. This is Sandy Castell, and I will see you there.
You're listening to WIMA, Women in Music and Arts, Las Vegas's #1 women's organization for scholarships in the arts. Here again is your host, Sandy Castell.
Welcome back to Women in Music and Arts, and I'm your host, Sandy Castell, and we are broadcasting live from Las Vegas every Wednesday at noon on KLAV 1230 AM. My guests today are Gary Anthony, Ned Mills, Mark Giovi, LJ Harness, and Amy Frost. There's only 2 girls in this room. Oh, no, there's a couple more girls, but on this side of the...
No, we're even. I think we're even.
But we've got 4 guys in the room here that are all with the Vegas Underground. But also they're performers that perform on their own at a lot of different events. And we were just listening to Mark Giovi's song that was an original song. And Mark, how long have you been writing songs?
Since I was about 17 years old.
So you started young.
Yeah. My father was a singer in back in New Jersey. We had our own restaurant nightclub. So I grew up listening to him sing all the old standards and the Sinatra things, and I started learning all that. But then I became a heavy metal singer. So I grew my hair down to my waist and wrote heavy metal songs for about 10, 15 years, and it's a lot of fun. I still love singing rock and roll,
Yeah.
But I write a lot of different styles of music, everything from Broadway style to pop or rock, R&B.
Well, that's good. Well, we've been talking over the past few weeks about the business of the music also, and not just for musicians, but for artists, how the artist mind, right brain, left brain, working together. Because obviously, as LJ brought up, it is the business of music, and in fact, there's a great book about that called The Business of Music. So, Amy, you've talked about that a little bit.
I know, a story just popped in my head that I'm dying to share. We were talking about music and healing, and I've done a lot of work with different hospitals and bringing in creativity and bringing in art. And I was at Loma Linda University Hospital, and we were talking to some of the patients about, what we could do to improve the conditions. And that's one woman, oh my God, she said, "There is nothing in this room that makes me want to live." Yeah, I know. So we said, okay, so we started getting with artists, and we started. We had a checkout system where they would come and they had a gallery in the university, a hospital, and that makes me want to live. Good, get that in your room, And then what kind of music inspires you? Get that in your room. And so it was like it was so important in their healing process. Certainly, get a good doctor, get the right medication, all that. But this is an important component. Get whatever makes you feel better: art, music, some kind of creative process. It's huge.
And also, a lot of the songs you were talking about going into the homes, for seniors and stuff that are there. You're reminding them of a time in their life when they hear a familiar song, when they hear a Sinatra song, or they hear something that's been done by somebody else. Whether or not you are, a celebrity impersonator or not, or whether you're singing the songs from another era, you're bringing back memories to them.
Oh yeah,
and it's so important.
Happens every week,
for
wherever we perform. I mean, I get somebody come up to me all the time saying, "Oh God, I haven't heard that song since, I was doing this and that." Brings back memories like that.
And inspires them to live. I had Roger Hall on the show last night, and he plays with the big band, rehearsal bands. You know him? He's a sax player, plays with my dad out there. And, he just had a birthday, and I think he said he was 80, I forgot, 87 or something like that. And I'm going, this is great. My dad's 84. And he said, I go to these rehearsals. He goes, this gives me a reason to live.
Yes. Absolutely. I think if you heal the mind, you're going to heal the body.
Right. And here he is saying, I want to improve upon, improve. Right. He's constantly still, after all these years, working to improve his technique on the instrument.
I think we all are doing that in our field.
Exactly. So we've all been in a little different areas in the business. Gary, you as a performer that is booking entertainers, celebrity entertainers, then how does that work? How do you reach out to your audience?
Well, that's the most fascinating thing. What a delight it is. I was just thinking about when you make people happy to be on the stage and to watch all the smiles out there. It's just an incredible feeling to know that you're making people just enjoy and have joy in their souls.
Exactly.
So how do people, when you have a website, so do you get calls or people
I'm an
requesting?
agency. I book celebrity impersonators.
But obviously when you first started out, you weren't doing that. I mean, you were out there performing yourself. And
right.
So
when I first came to Las Vegas, I didn't know anybody like everybody else. We all go out there. I look at it as a back door. What I did is I started a DJ service here in the 90s. And all the hotels just loved Sinatra because I would do Frank for the weddings, etc. And so I ended up with 5 systems, 5 DJs out there, and I'm going like crazy out there. But that was sort of like the back door, so the agents started discovering me. Okay. And I remember my first gig was in Denver. The agent picked me up and he says, "Let's take you to Denver." They had lots of celebrity impersonators. The next day he says to me, after the event, he says, you saved us. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, they didn't like the impersonators out there, but when you got up and you sang, 3,000 people got up and started dancing. So I said, well, I'm doing something right, so I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah.
So basically, a lot of it is really just getting out there and performing, and then people get to know about you, and then, of course, they're going to ask if you'll do another event. Okay, so that's one way. And like you said, sitting in at different events.
Yes.
But also there's the marketing online. which is a very important part of our business now. And it has changed for us all because we don't have managers and agents really taking care of all that stuff. It's us. It falls back on us. So we have to have our website. And if we're not really good at it, we need to team up with other people to do it, which is Amy's always about. Well, team up with somebody who's really good at that. Team up with somebody over here who's good at that. Now I'm just starting to get, I have a lovely assistant here, Sierra, who's helping me for just a few weeks because she's going to be going back to school. She's a theater major, which is wonderful.
Nice.
But I've been doing a lot of things on my own, and I've gotten a little backed up on it. And, you know, it gets overwhelming, right? Because you go out to
I think it's tougher
clubs.
to do it for yourself than it is for, because like I said, I was a tour manager for a major recording artist. I mean, we were touring around the world. I was putting $2.5 million budgets together, but to do that for myself, and to market yourself, there's a fine line.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to be, whether you're too humble or too overbearing.
That's right. That's
and
right.
then oh, that guy's cocky. I don't want to talk to him, and this and that, because he's promoting himself, and it's tough. It's tough.
It's a challenge because it's always better for someone else to say something about you than the
Yes,
other way
I
around.
know.
And in Vegas, I've noticed the trend, particularly in the past few years. If you are going to work in a club or whatever, they're like, "Do you have a following?" They don't necessarily do all their own advertising. They
That's
expect
right.
the musician or the artist to come in and bring in their own business and promote. And you see there's a lot of really good websites. We have a friend, Mr. Sam Wagmeister, who has a blog. Mr. Evan Davis has these things, and they're always supporting local musicians, saying, "Come check these guys out."
That's right. He was there the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Along with the
Joe in Toronto also.
Oh, exactly. And there's a gentleman I met through Cadillac, a client that I invited out one night, and this guy just started supporting all these entertainers. And I'm old school. And when it comes to technology, the social network, all this, first I don't have time or the knowledge.
That's right. It takes a lot
man
of time.
by the name of Sparky that created the VegasUnderground.com. And again, it's a secret society of a city built on live entertainment.
That's right.
And I mean, from YouTube to Facebook to on and on and on, and it's international. All these guys that are here today with you, and Genevieve Dew, another great performer that supports us and comes out and
Yes,
performs.
she was here the other night.
We're all over the place.
Yeah.
You can Google any of us. You can go to the website, and it's just exploding, and it's set up for entertainers to link on.
Yes, you were telling me about that yesterday, that all of your entertainers that perform with you can go onto your site and link up, and which is similar to what we're doing with Women in Music and Art.
Most definitely.
Getting, we're working on it. It's a process, though.
Well, it is a process,
to get
Andy.
it all done, because it takes a lot of technical stuff. I want to go listen to some more music right now from Ned Mills.
Yeah.
Let's listen to, what are we going to be listening to?
Let's see.
You had 10
do
and
something
11.
from my show, Piano Follies, and here's a little tribute to the late great. Well, actually, he's still around. He's still with us. I tell you, a little something. Oh, I tell you what. Instead, let's do something for Mr. Jerry Lewis. All right, kind of rock and roll you for you.
All right.
I'm coming over, baby, a whole lot of shaking going on. I said, coming over, baby, baby, you can't go wrong. We ain't picking, a whole lot of shaking going on. I said, coming over, baby, we got chicken in a barn. I said, coming over, baby, baby, got the bull by the horn. We ain't picking, whole lot of shaking going on. Let's shake, baby, shake. Shake, baby, shake. Shake, baby, shake. Come on, shake, baby, shake. Come on over, whole lot of shaking going on. Shake that saxophone, guys. Hey, you horn, shake 2 more chords. Yeah. shake around and roll. You shake around and roll. Do you wrong, save your doggone soul.
If you are just tuning in, you are listening to Women in Music and Arts, and we are broadcasting live from Las Vegas every Wednesday at noon on KLAV 1230 AM. I've got all these lovely gentlemen in the room with me, in addition to Amy Frost. We've got Gary Anthony, Ned Mills, Mark Giove, L.J. Harness, and Amy Frost. And we're talking a little bit about the business of music and the arts, and how we get together and make sure that we're doing all the business stuff that needs to be done. Stuff, I love that word.
Yes. Well, what comes to mind, I mean, and you're bringing on all these amazing people that are showing us all kinds of pathways.
Yes.
And everybody has their own unique pathway, so I want to make sure that everybody gets that.
Okay.
Not following somebody else isn't the answer. It's
That's
finding,
right.
creating your own way, not even, following. You got to create your own way. But one thing that really came to mind, you're talking about nursing homes or wherever you're at, you got to give 100%. And you got to be full on there, because you never know who's going to be in that audience.
That's right.
That could give you that break or get you to the next thing. So doing whatever you love, doing it 100% full on wherever you are.
Well, I think these guys have probably been doing that since they were kids, because I know when I was at the in pinups at the movies, I remember sometimes we'd have that third show on a Saturday night, and there'd be just a few people out there in the audience at the Sahara Hotel and the Casbar Lounge, and some of the dancers would just be kind of walking their way through the show, and I'm going, yeah, but da 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 da. I'm like, just because, I love being on stage, and I know you do, and I know you do, and you do, and you do. We all love being on stage. We're passionate about our art.
Yeah, and it's the one thing that keeps me going, because there's a lot of disappointment in this business, and it happens every day.
Yes.
Where people come up where you might meet that person that says, "Oh, I'm going to get you to this, that," and they don't come through, and this and that, and it literally happens like once a week or every day. I mean, it's like, so you can really get down. And it's a good thing we love what we do,
Yes.
because if we were just good at what we did and we didn't love it, I would have given up a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's when you say, show me the money.
Definitely.
Well, that's true. I mean, I think that, the old saying is, well, I do it even if I wasn't getting paid, and we've been doing it a lot, even if we're not getting paid. But also, I remember going out and being in a show and saying, and I get paid for this.
Oh, yeah.
I love what I'm doing, and I'm getting paid for
Yeah.
it. And I worked, steadily for, a long period of time before I took any kind of a break and went off and did something else, and then got married, and, things happen. And go ahead, LJ. You got the finger raising
you're talking
over here.
about.
Yes.
Each one of us
Yes.
are phenomenal salespeople.
For other people, no.
No.
People, not for myself.
No.
I'm just saying, we're selling ourselves
Yes.
out there nightly, daily. And when I retired, it was pretty much for a long time from the music business, I saw what was going on. And I mean, I've been an entertainer all my life, and all of a sudden, what am I going to do? And I started with Rolls Royce, and only knowledge I had was get a relationship
Right.
with that person. And that's what we do every time we walk on stage, is selling ourselves, getting a relationship.
Yes.
And that's the difference between successful entertainers and non-successful, is those business connections, getting that relationship. Just like you inviting us all in here today, Sandy, that's because of a relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's helping one another. And when somebody's all about themselves, they're going to be by themselves.
Well, that's why I started WIMA, Women in Music and Arts, because I wanted to bring the arts together, not the literary, visual, and performing artists. We've got healing arts. I mean, we've got people from all walks of life really almost in here now. And our membership is growing, which is wonderful. But the goal is to support each other in what it is that we're passionate about doing. We get girls that come in, and even men. We have men that are members. And, of course, I invite you all to become members of Women in Music and Arts. But what we do is we support each other. We're doing events to support each other, showcase their talents, and also at the same time we're raising money for scholarships so that we can support those young artists out there, and even artists of all ages that are looking to pursue their passion. We've got people out there in life that have had a change in their life. They thought they were going to be retired, and then they lose all their retirement money, and then they're going, now what am I going to do? Yeah. And they're recreating themselves. They're going back to what they were passionate about, some of them, when they were younger. and that they had given up to go, get married and have their kids and raise their kids. And now they're saying, well, gee, I used to love singing. I used to love writing poetry. Oh, I used to love, and they've got a place now. You're providing a place for people to come in and sit in. Professionals, a lot of those are professionals that are sitting in with you.
Yes.
But some of them are people that are not professionals, but they're very good and they're passionate about what they, their talents and stuff.
Some of them, are just. We had a girl last week who sang with us. That was the first time she ever sang with a live band.
Oh my gosh!
She was used to singing at karaoke bars and stuff, and she actually did pretty good. Did pretty good.
Miss Nevada in the Miss America pageant this year, I just did an event a few months ago, and I invited her to be one of the singers. There were 3 Miss Nevadas, and she had never worked with a live band. She had always worked with tracks, and I was really surprised. But anyway, so we're going to have to wrap it up in a few minutes here. We've got, and I want to just let everybody tell the audience where they can find out about their music and what they do. Gary, I'll start with you.
Yeah, you can go to my website, majorep.com, and that'll tell you everything about me and also my agency that we book celebrity impersonators for conventions, parties, private parties, theaters throughout the world.
And also, if they want to find a picture of you and me in Vegas Beat 68, when we were just kids. I know you have that posted on your website.
It's there. We'll let them look for it. How's that?
Yes. And, of course, Mark, you said you don't have a website.
Well, I have a website, but it's not really up and running right now. I got to get somebody to, again, I don't know how to do that.
So speaking of that, you do need to team up with somebody that's willing to work on a website.
Somebody to come forward to help you.
That's right. So he's reaching out.
So, but I'm performing at every Monday night at the Tap House and every Saturday night at Ichabod's.
That's the best place to find you is where you're performing. Yeah. And then Ned, you're also performing every Monday night, but you have a website.
Yeah, it's www.pianofollies.com, and you can see my 5 grand pianos that I have. I've got the world's only pink Cadillac piano, and it's I do it mainly for production shows, and I also do shows for Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines.
Okay, great. And then Amy Frost.
Yes.
Where can people find out about you?
AmyFrost.com and the nonprofit sector foundation.org.
And then also the happiness.
I'm the guest blogger ongoing at deliveringhappiness.com. And my next one's going to be on leadership.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
And then LJ.
Yes, at LJ at ljharness.com. And, of course, thevegasunderground.com. And these guys are being pretty modest here in a lot of areas because when Mark was saying he performs at the Tap House and then at Ichabod's, along with Ned and Gary, they're performing all over the place. And one last thing I want to say is there are many times that these guys will step up, along with so many of our friends that are in the business, that will come and perform for the military, for worthy charities, and never receive the first dollar.
That's right.
That's something very special.
And that's just like this weekend, Saturday, July the 14th. We've got all these guys are going to be out there at the Boca Park Summer Bash, which is on Charleston and Rampart. And it's going to be sponsored also by KLAV, Cadillac of Las Vegas West, Ecology, Samba Latte, Pink, Mixed, Kona Grill, Gordon Bierst, Embers, Ultra Diamonds, Grimaldi Pizza, Nevada Youth Alliance, and Silk and Satin Records. So come on out. We're going to have live music with the Vegas Underground. And all of these guys up here that are on the show today are going to be out there performing, including several more. And we're going to be recording live on KLAV from 4 to 5 with Behind the Scenes with Sandy Castell and James Kelly. So you are listening to Women in Music and Arts, and we are live every Wednesday at noon on KLAV 1230 AM and streaming online at KLAV1230am.com. Here's a song from my album, This Time Around, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Peace.